Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome to Late Night Live number 129. What's going on everybody in the chat? What up Lewis? Hello Fiora. What's going on Miss Marilyn? How's everybody doing this evening or daytime or morning, whatever time it is for you? Welcome to being here live, Fiora. It's nice to have you. Alright, for those of you who do not know, we are continuing with this list of capitals done by F.B.Courtney. These nice loopy, I won't call them twisters, but these nice loopy capitals by Courtney. We're doing hopefully the second half of them today. What's going on, Skeet? Hello, Jay. Well, hello, Benny. You will notice, finally, my background has changed. The white storage unit that was back there and then has been back there since I moved into this place is gone. Somebody actually picked it up today, so it is completely gone. I spent yesterday and today painting this wall. It's a little painty smelling in my house, my apartment today. Not super painty smelling, but a little bit. Yeah, it's been a DIY few days. Shelves aren't up yet, obviously. That's gonna probably have to wait until the new year, unfortunately, but they will be coming sooner than later. And it's actually, I guess it probably might look black on camera. It's not black, it's like a really, really dark navy. It's called soot, is the actual color, but it's like a really dark navy blue, which is what I wanted. Almost like a gray, but it's definitely bluer than gray, which I like. I was nervous when I was looking at reviews and stuff online, people calling it gray, and it felt really gray, but in person it's much more blue than it is gray. And I'm very, very happy with the color. I just need to get the shelves up so that the whole thing is complete, because the other half of my apartment is covered in stuff. I don't think I ever really realized how much stuff fit on those white shelves that were back there. So, very much looking forward to getting the shelves get up there. Sometime in the new year, I got to troubleshoot some issues that I'm having with the desktop that's there right now. I've mentioned before, it's warped, and I don't know if it's worth moving forward. I might have to replace it even before I get going on the shelves. But yeah, very happy with the color, happy with the paint job, happy with the new setup. See, my camera's in a slightly different angle. I don't know if you can tell that. There's now a desk in front of me, not just my writing desk, but there's another desk in front of that my laptop and everything can sit on. And then that has changed. The bar that is normally attached to my writing desk is now attached to that desk. So everything is a little bit farther away from me. So I have a little bit more personal space. Yeah, it's a little bit farther away from me. I mean, it still hangs out, like the camera is still directly above, or almost directly above, but everything is a little bit farther away. And because the table is wider than my desk, for those of you who don't know, I had a frame that went up from my desk and across the top that all of my lights and everything attach onto. Now that's just a little bit higher and a little bit wider, so it feels more open. There's still a lot of stuff in front of me, but it feels more open. So yeah, sorry, I'm excited about my new setup. It was very much a fight against the clock today to get it working and set up. It's just the bare minimum for the stream. A lot of the other stuff that needs to be attached to it for my just day-to-day computer using and whatnot is not there. It's just in stream mode at the moment. A3 size is quite tiny. I mean, my writing desk is pretty tiny. That's why that big desk back there and my wood carving desk, once that's finished, will be nice, because I'll have more so stations instead of doing everything in this one spot. I'll move around a little bit more. When that time comes, when that's all finished and ready, get warmed up first before I even start on attempting the capitals. Please let me know if the audio sounds good, because the mic is in a different place than it normally is, and like I said, everything has changed. So if the microphone sounds bad or needs to be tweaked or whatnot, please let me know. But it should be relatively close to the way it was before. Fingers crossed. All good. Woohoo! I like to hear that. Yeah, we're using our natural paper again today. Number one, because I like it, and number two, it was on the top of the stack of paper that's on the other side of my room that has a bunch of things on top of it. This was the most accessible paper after all of the renovation, moving things around. But also it works really well. And I'm quite a fan of it. I do think you guys could come in a little bit closer, maybe. A little bit closer. It's not super close. The camera is maybe a little farther away than it needs to be, but this should be okay. Yeah, this angle, new face cam angle, I think this is a good one because it shows you can see my arm, you can see the dipping. That's important for teaching and whatnot. Yeah, it shows me a little more, and also I'm looking a little more straightforward rather than off to the side like I was. Still looking to the side a little bit, but I guess I could have it straightforward, but I usually have stuff on the other side of my room. So yeah, this feels, all in all, it feels better than the last one. Like, is my head getting cut off at the top here? Meh. Details. Get bogged down in those details. Let me keep warming up here. We have, oh, hello, Karina. Ooh, big screen, that's good. I also want to, I gotta say, we got two cameos from some plants that have never made it on stream before. Because the plants that are normally behind me are super tall, so they have to sit up at the roof, and there's nothing at the roof now that they can sit on. So we have two new plants. This is one of the Ninja Turtles. Their mother plant, Rasta, is out on the balcony right now and it's huge. But there are 4 of these smaller ferns. I call them the Ninja Turtles. I don't know which is which yet. And then we have Trinity over here, one of my original ivy, who's hardly in frame. But 2 plants that never make it on stream. Hello, Ciro. Glad to have you back. I have a feeling today feels like it's gonna be a distracted stream. I feel distracted today. And not like not a bad way. Just I feel chatty and distracted. Where's my Santa hat? That's a good question. I mean, it's in my closet in my room. I should have got it out. Both my Santa hat and my Santa fedora, which I received from Miss Marilyn, actually, as a Christmas gift. Lurking works, Marilyn. That is allowed. The ad break. I just realized there's 2 new buttons here actually. I can add an ad anytime I want, but I can also delay ads. So what I might try to do today, when it brings up the little warning that an ad is coming, I might delay ads and add ads in specific places. I have not used it yet. This new function. I usually just let them roll wherever they want to. Alright, well, let's just dive into it here. Enough warming up, I suppose. Today, we are starting with, we finished last week with the capital M. We're going to start with the capital N, which is similar variation, very similar to the M, so it's not completely new waters, but we will start with the capital N here today. Reposition my camera just a little bit. I feel like I'm writing down here. Oh yeah, it definitely has moved since I originally set it up. Let me fix my camera real quick. Sorry. If I write where it's comfortable for me, it's gonna be like in the progress bar for you guys, and that's no good. My apologies. Give me a few seconds. We gotta zoom out here. Oh, it's because I zoomed in. Right, of course. Right. Let's just do a little bit of this action. Sorry, moving camera. That should be better. Tighten that up real tight so it doesn't move. There we go. Now we have my glide sheet will be over the progress. Yeah, that works. I could zoom out, but with a fine hairline, it's nice. I want to make sure that everybody can see the writing good. Now, before I forget, we will lock focus. Hiya. Here we go. All right, this end. When that comes up. Oh, this has to go all the way across there? Okay. Shapes are kind of crazy. It's this. Forget the headway we made. Getting the shape of that first oval right. I am using forearm for this one still. I'm writing relatively on the small side, so I can get away with forearm movement still. It would be, I mean, movement-wise, much easier and much more natural with whole arm, but I don't think I would have the control that I want to have for it. It's getting a little like, that one was a little bit big. The big thing is where on his, this curve right here, starting like out here. Oh yeah, so this comes around much faster. Okay. Okay. Not a lot of writing time this week as I've been at the desk, or not at the desk, as I was painting and getting the apartment ready for painting and furniture stuff, spray painting stuff on the balcony pretty much all week as well. Okay, that's the idea size-wise. Now we just gotta get the shape right. Oh, and I forgot to add this shade. Whoopsies. Right. That's what we want. I'm glad you were able to catch the replay, Cyril. It was a fun one. These are a bit of a challenge. Whoops, I added an extra shade that time on the downstroke of the M. On the N, it just felt right. That's the idea, though. That one. That first initial shape. I gotta run a drill of that shape if I want it to be comfortable. But I won't do a lot of drills today. That's the idea. Let's try one with slightly bigger shades. Ooh, got out of control on that part. I'm much longer in here than he is. I'm not great at shortening my ovals. They like being long and skinny, unfortunately. A habit. The idea? Our hairline got lost a little bit in there. But that's the idea. Let's move on to the O, because we did basically the same one last week did the M. So for our O, ooh, I'm glad we start right into the shade. Start with a shade, then we have a hairline, then we have a shade, and then a shade. Shade, hairline, shade, shade. Sounds good. Not quite, not a twister, but kinda. Shade, hairline, shade, shade is what we gotta remember. Shade, swirl, hairline. Continues there. Oh, that one's not gonna be very difficult, I don't think. It's not nearly as complicated as it could be. Compared to one of Michael Saul's O's, that's a borderline cakewalk. That's good. Just utilizing your fingers just a little bit. Combination movement, I would wager, is, I would say, that's how the majority of the penmen back in the day wrote. Whether they said they did, or whether they taught that or not, I would be willing to bet that most of them used some form of combination movement, where the fingers came into play a little bit here and there. That being said, I like the idea of teaching students without using their fingers, and then letting the fingers come in just sort of subconsciously when they want to lend a hand. Ooh, I ran out of ink. Didn't expect that to happen. Oh, I'm gonna run out of space on this one, I can tell. But I'm gonna do it anyways. Yeah, that doesn't feel nearly as crazy. It feels quite good, actually. Those weren't perfect, but they feel good. Try to get that large oval a little bit longer. Or sorry, not a little bit longer, a little bit higher. Can. Ran out of ink. That was gonna be a good one. Maybe. Sounds good. Tomorrow, I will be at my desk pretty much all day tomorrow, getting caught up before I go out of town. Tomorrow and Thursday, my last 2 days, I think, so long as the roads stay nice. It's really just getting used to, if this feels like weird for you to write, I would recommend just getting used to that initial shape. The cool thing about it is once you get after your first shade, you do spiral. So when you come down here, then, so that's your shade coming out of that shade, then you just spiral and then do your exit out here. So it's that I feel like most people would have trouble with, but if you think less about it and just get used to that movement, so you get used to that whole thing in hairline, then tack on the exit. Because there are no changing of directions like in the end that we did, we have compound curves and we have ovals change directions, but still have to match parallel. That's where things get difficult. With this one, they're all going the same direction, so all the shades feel the same. It's just a matter of getting used to that initial shape that you're creating. Yeah, not enough ink. I gotta dip fast for that one. I'm gonna make shades that big. Alright, let's go to P. Elemento P. We got a horizontal entry oval, just like we did for the B. We come down, we have this. See, I much prefer the way he did this shade on the P versus the shape of the shade on the B. I'm more partial to the shade of the P. Shade on the P, ending in a hairline, coming up in a slight curve, slight compound curve, tiny little loop, larger loop with a shade. I never shade that, so that's gonna feel weird. That transitions into an angled oval, to shade big, and then come up. Should be relatively manageable, I believe. But we will see. Be like starting anything with a horizontal entry oval makes you feel at home. Or makes me feel at home anyways. Makes things automatically feel comfortable. The cool thing about about tiny ovals, just Lewis, since you mentioned that, with tiny ovals, if you try to make a tiny oval, it can be challenging. But how many times have you done, say, like the lower or the capital A? If you try to not make a loop there, you have to go up and stop and come down, and people accidentally get loops there all the time. Or same with if somebody's doing just a stem stroke with a shade, people will often get a little loop there. And they're not trying to do a little loop, it's just a product of the movement. It's hard to stop in that point. So if you take that idea of making accidental little loops, but use that so you can put them where you want. So with this P, for example, I haven't even written it yet, but I'm certain this philosophy is correct. If I think about going, that stroke that comes up here, if I almost think of stopping it and then going into this loop here, into the loop of the P, so if I stop and then go down, if I have movement instead of stopping and going down, naturally, I'm going to probably get a little loop there. Whereas if you try to make a little loop, you're going to zoom in, or your brain's going to zoom in, you're going to want to slow down, your fingers are going to grip harder because they're going to want to try to control that. But if you don't control it and you just think of stopping and keeping going through, or not stopping, but trying to create the image of just a point, you will likely naturally start to get a tiny little loop there. And then take some fishing around and some tweaking to make it the shape and angle you want, but you can utilize those. Trying to make a little loop is much more difficult than just making a little loop by accident. I guess that's what it boils down to. Forgot to shade the very end, and my little loop is on a different angle than his. His is a little more more, not fully horizontal, but more so horizontal than mine is. So I will have to do that and then not forget to shade that little bit. But this one should flow relatively nicely, I think. I think. Yeah, we don't. I mean, I never recommend going super slow. You can, but I want the fluidity of hairline, so I can't go super slow. I am also noticing his entry oval has a tiny little accent shade on the very top, so we're gonna start adding that in as well, right there. We're gonna give this, so you can see here, so I did mostly right, but this is so close that now when it opens up, it's very drastic. If this was a little bit larger, following still parallel, but a little bit farther away, then that exact same opening up to there, that needs to go that way as well, but that same opening wouldn't feel quite as drastic. Happy little loops. There we go. Should do a parody video. I'll buy an afro wig and I'll do a Bob Ross penmanship series where we'll do quotes. I'll talk through it like Bob Ross does with a squirrel in my pocket. Whoops. Oh, so this goes all the way around, even around that. So my entry oval has to be a lot shorter. Okay. Didn't notice that before. I'll put that on my list of YouTube videos for the new year. So once this background is all finished and set up, I want to dive back into YouTube, into making not just lives, but 2024. Year, like, back to social media. I hope, anyways. It's been too long. That's the idea. I've been wanting to for a long time. It's just been a little distracted with things I gotta do. Hoping next year. I don't have any legitimate reasons for my sort of absence from the socials. Tiny shades on that one. Thank you very much, Cyril. P has become one of my favorite. Not this variation. This variation is quite fun, but P had become recently sort of one of my favorite letters to write. This variation, I'm quite a fan of that variation of the capital P. Oh, there's an ad going apparently now. Enjoy the ad, everybody. Ovular. I think ovoid is the correct term. I like the term ovular, but I don't think it works. I don't think it applies. My nose is running today for some reason. Alright, we'll do this P one more time, then we'll move on, because that was... This P hasn't felt super crazy. Let's try to do one with slightly bigger shades. We'll get a quick dip, so we got more ink in the pen. We'll try to do a quick shade one, or a big shade one. Let's try that again. M I did last week, Ojaswini, and N we did at the beginning of today. Were you not paying attention? N was the first letter we did. An ovoid is a 3D shape. Oh. I did not know that. Ovular is correct? People have told me forever that it's not. Hey, Mom, Ed, how's it going? I said I'd do M again? Whoops. Nope. M we finished with last week. N we did this week, and they're basically the same. There. Large shades for a small capital P. Okay, what do we got next? Q. Oh, this one will be fun. This is very close to the variation of the Q I already like. Q. So we start with just our, like a capital A, very narrow in this variation. We come down. Now, the big difference between his Q and the way I normally do my Qs. Yeah, Mom, man, these are a series of loopy capitals by F.B.Courtney. But his descender shade, whereas I would normally keep this a hairline and wouldn't start my shade till I was below the baseline and put all the shade here, more similar, so the shade would look more like the shade on this P. Instead, he starts his shade almost immediately tapering into the shade and gets the thickest point about the baseline, and then he's an even taper out. So that'll be interesting, but honestly that might even be a little bit easier because you don't have to control. You can just do a nice long shade, which long shades are easier. We come up, we have a little bead, and then we come around with a nice big shade on the left. Now there's a possibility that I might enjoy adding this bead afterwards. So if I come here and then just, like I can lift, but then go here and do the last stroke, and then come back and draw in the bead. If I was going for perfection, that's likely what I would do. Just because getting this shape right, going from releasing pressure as I'm going, makes it a little more challenging. But we'll see how that feels. We'll try both ways. We will try both. Let's see which we prefer. Sip a tea. Sip a tea, sip a tea. I'm glad you like it, Karina. It's a fun one. Alright, Q. Here we go. Space for the descender. I maybe made that. I need to taper out much quicker. I'm used to closing that shade really quickly because the shade is usually quite short. But I gotta start tapering all there. Okay, then we have that little bead. We can actually, we can do that bead first as well. And go from there into that stroke right there. shade on the A a little bit higher. On the first angled oval as well. Ran out of ink, but that's the idea. We got the right taper on the cue that time. How's life in Italy, Mohamed? Getting settled down nicely, I would hope. Lost my hairlines there, but that's okay. Dip quicker. Lots of ink for these FBC capitals. This happened yesterday when we started getting to the bottom of the page. I guess the paper gets oily or something. I do have lotion in my hands, so that's probably not helpful. Too many Christmas parties. Is there such thing? Christmas parties, that's great. That means social, and social's great. Social's healthy. I've only had one Christmas party. I like Christmas parties, but only the studio I work at has one. One Christmas party and home renovations. That's been my Christmas. That's the idea. Oh, he drops. So what I do need to do is start dropping this below the baseline more, so this oval here is a little more circular. Drops below before it goes up. 101 today, Skeet. The same one as last week. Brand new, unsharpened, untuned. One of my last brand new 101s, which makes me very sad. The idea, I was worried about hitting my thumb. My thumb was not where it should have been. So I panicked making that last shade a little bit when I had to travel to the left. Try one more, we'll get one more decent one of those, then we'll move on. I'm gonna lift and dip again, just in case, so I don't run out of ink. Circular on this side. That's better. Yeah, definitely. I think if I were gonna break it down 100%, Mohamed, I think, like, let's say if I did my first shade, if I was gonna use hinge movement, though, I would need to rotate my paper. So I would do that first stroke, and then I would do something like this. I would rotate my paper in such a way that I can utilize, oh, this camera angle's good, because you can actually see what I mean when I do this now. Before you could see a little bit, but not as much. I am going to... One sec here. I am going to move this way just a little smidgen. See a little bit more of my elbow. There we go. Or a little bit more of my forearm. So there, now if I rotate my paper at that angle, I can utilize this hinge movement for that downstroke right there. I didn't make it very big, or a very big shade, but I could have, should have. But yeah, to get that shade, would be, I mean, very, very natural movement to do it at an angle like that. Hello, Peter. Ooh, Peter logging in with his personal account today. But yeah, you do it that way, and then I would rotate my paper back to do the exit stroke. Peter's message got deleted. Whoops. What happened? You could shift your elbow as well. Yeah. So you would do, I guess, I was gonna shift my elbow to get, it's gonna feel different for everybody. For this stroke, for this one, I don't mind creating it just with a pull, so I don't really change it, but you could, if you go, you'd have to go away from your body. If you shifted your elbow out, then yes, you could utilize, especially if you were writing, it'd be easier. I guess the more angled you write, so the more like Mataraz you write, the more, or the easier it would be, because the closer you get to 52 or 50, if you want more vertical writing, your elbow has to go out a little bit farther and farther to get that natural, for that to be the natural angle, versus if I bring it in a little bit, I'm there, or bring in a little bit more, I'm there, so on and so on. But yes, 100%, you could just rotate your elbow as well. Whichever is more comfortable for you. All right, moving on to the capital R. Capital R, very similar to the capital P. We're just adding an extra little shade in the middle. We have our entry oval, we come down, shade, little loop, shade here, but instead on the P we came up and around. On this one we're giving a tiny little loop, threading that upstroke, adding our compound curve shade to go up here, and shade on the downstroke instead of, or on the upper left downstroke instead of the lower right downstroke, where we did the P there, and then we cross through here. Interesting. Cool. There we go. Welcome back, Peter. What are you up to this evening, Peter? Can I do one more line on this page? Maybe. We'll see. Without it moving around too much. Gotta be honest, that came out a lot smoother than I thought it was gonna the first time. Pretty much, I dropped this a little bit lower than I needed to, but the main thing I was thinking about when I started writing that was the first entry oval. Remember how we discussed the P having the slight accent shade on the entry oval? As I was writing it, I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking, make sure you mention that the R wouldn't have that accent, that accent shade there, because you have a shade going through it this time. While I was executing the rest, and the rest just kind of happened. But now let's analyze here a little bit. start this shade a little bit sooner, end it a little bit sooner so that it can tuck in a little bit quicker like that. And technically, if we want to get picky, the entry oval goes in below, so this is up above. Oh, interesting. So those never cross. Alright, we'll give that a shot. His angle on the R feels much more natural to me than the angle on the P. Hello, lamb. Alright, Lewis, sleep well. We will talk to you soon. Have a good night. Ooh, what movie are they watching, Peter? It's a little bit better. Mainly focused on getting that weird shape. Well, it's weird to me. It's not actually a weird shape. Ooh, the Barbie movie. I haven't seen that one yet. I watched, what did I watch? Yesterday, the day before yesterday, when I was eating dinner, I watched Leo. If you guys haven't seen Leo, Adam Sandler's new movie where he's the class lizard, 1000% recommended. It is an absolutely brilliant movie in my opinion. I loved it. Oh, I don't think... What do you mean people keep coming in and, like, the viewer count is going up and down, Marilyn? I don't pay that much attention to the viewer count, if I'm honest. Not usually, anyways. There could be nobody here, and I'd just be here talking to myself. Dip. That's better. Again. I'm assuming the R feels relatively good because we did the P, and it's very similar. Noel, I haven't seen that one yet. I don't think. Wait, which one's Noel, Ojaswini? Who's in it? What's it about? Did I forget to shade that? Yes. Why is this shade getting this like... Ah! Yes, I've seen Noel. Anna Kendrick, they're from the North Pole. And her brother... Yeah, her and her brother, right? They like lose the sleigh at one point. I won't ruin the movie. Yes, I know the one you're talking about. That is a cute movie. And no, that's not a new Christmas movie. But it is a cute one. Honestly, Peter, it's such a good movie. It's so good. I'm surprised I haven't heard more people talking about it. Granted, I live under a rock somewhat, so... sheet of paper. I need to watch the new Aardman, the new Chicken Run movie. One of these days. Okay, too much ink. And this shade is getting too long. His is pretty long. So maybe it's not too long. But I'd like it to be a little bit shorter. So maybe to combat that, we'll dip a little bit slower and dip halfway through. Oh no, the whole thing doesn't stop. We can't do that. I don't lift on this one. See if I can get away with slightly less ink in here. Why? This shade was perfect there. This one, cha-cha, for some reason. For some reason. What do you consider a boring ink, Marilyn? Oh, there's an ad. If you're seeing an ad, enjoy. That one snuck up on me. It's black. Got you. I mean, some people only use black ink. But I guess for an ink bank calendar, it's an interesting choice for a calendar because you want it to be exciting. All right, Karina, sweet dreams to you. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in 2023. No, see you in 2024. Oh, so it's a shimmer black. Well, at least it has something. Subtle, I guess. Not bad. Let's do one more, and we'll move right along. We will not do 2023 again, don't worry. That's better. A little narrow, but that's better. Whoa! We got Diego in the house. First two were the best. On this page or in general? This one, minus the blob that I got there. This one's probably the best one, I would assume. Diego coming right in with the judge. With the judge's remark. How you doing, Diego? The other page. What? First two? Oh yeah, that second one was pretty good. That's a good point. That one right there. Came out smooth. Relatively smooth. Let's move on to the S. Ooh, the S is loopy. slight accent shade, horizontal oval, very abrupt compound curve, low shade, into essentially just a spiral out. Slight accent shade on that first little oval after the stem. And then big shade at the end. That ends rather abruptly. I'll probably bring that up to about here. Right. If you haven't had enough of this going on today. These are the things that upset you. Don't let it upset you. You gotta enjoy it. It's fun. Right? Alright, let's just wing it and see what happens. Okay, that's the shape. Right? Did I get all the things in the right spot at least? This has to drop a little lower. Oh, interestingly, none of these horizontal ovals cross through the very middle of the S, which is always weird to me. Crosses above and below. And that goes out. Okay. We can do that. Eventually, maybe. You can do it, Zero. You can do it. Oh, I forgot to add the shade at the end, but that's a pretty good S. I'm happy with that one. I would be very, very happy with that one if this top loop was slightly smoother. And then if there was a shade on the on the lower right corner like they're supposed to be. But can't be mad at it. Can't be mad. It's a step in the right direction. Whoa, that's weird. When I do the shade, my hand wants to go down that way instead of continuing with this upstroke. Interesting. I never knew it would do that. And then don't forget to add a slight accent on the top. Okay. Nope. Added a shade where it didn't belong. Not to the last one. My hand just wanted to shade. He was excited. So question, Diego. When are you gonna be ready to be a guest on the stream? That's right, I'm putting you on blast here live. Everybody knows I've been trying to get Diego on the stream as a guest, but he's been too busy with work. Oh, ugly last shade. You finished grading this week. Woohoo! 2024, making it happen. Nice. Professor Diego will be finished grading this week. What's the difference between a professor and a teacher? I've Googled this countless times, but I can't remember. Do you have to be a part of like a university or something to be a professor? Are you, could I be a professor of penmanship, or am I just a teacher of penmanship? That was the idea, except my parallel curves are all over the place. No, I do not get emails starting with Hi Professor Ward. But I also don't carry myself in a very professory way. I could. But I think it'd be a lot less fun. Cyril, I don't usually add the extra little loop. My standard, just ornamental penmanship S would be... just like so, would be my standard S. So this isn't terribly far off. But S is one of those letters that I don't have the most consistency with, unfortunately. They're usually passable, but never exactly the same. Especially with that super abrupt compound curve that he has in his. I have to try to replicate. That's the one! Booyah! And I like that there's an arrow pointing right to it. Say, hey, look here. We'll put a happy face down there just to finish it off. Now, technically, this oval here going into there should be like down here. This last implied oval is up at a weird angle, but it was smooth. I mean, are you really a professor if you've never made a kid cry about their grade? I don't know if it's proud or not. I've made kids cry in my dance classes, and I've also made people cry in my penmanship classes, actually. That has happened. Not intentionally, obviously, but it has happened before. Oh, that one's even better. And that oval is not as wonky as that one. Right on. Tiny accent, shade, shade. His stem shade is much nicer than mine. But I'll take it. I'm very happy with that. We'll give that one a happy face. A smiley face too. And I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead and go to the capital T. Because those both came out quite nice. That's just a flowy letter. This is one of the... I am gonna mention sort of my theory about twisters. This feels like a twister. Similar to when we did the O. How they just sort of... they flow. People always will see the letters that have like the big twists like that, and they look really impressive. They're so much easier than the ones that change directions and have compound curves and stuff in them. With these ones, you just have to rely or just trust your arm to give you that smooth flowing expansion, and then if there are shades, you just have to then apply the shades where they're required. But so much easier than doing ones that have compound curves within the shades. Probably my most difficult flourish for me to make look good is the ones that have, if there's an oval that's going, say it's going to direct oval, so it's going counterclockwise, and then there's another implied oval somewhere else that has to be parallel, but that the implied ovals go in the opposite direction, those to me are the most challenging, or the most difficult to have look exactly right. When you can spiral, it's quite easy. Don't cry, Diego. You can stay up late. Pretty happy with that S. Now we're going to move on to the capital T. What do we got for capital T? Speaking of tea, I'm going to take a sip. I keep looking over here when I'm talking. This is where my camera normally is, right in this direction. Not, this one's more in front of me. But my microphone is right here right now. So there's still like, in my peripheral out of focus, there's still something like dark and situated there. So I keep looking at it when I'm talking and realizing that that's the microphone. And it's right above the chat, which was the good thing about my camera being over there. But straight in front. Not straight, but in front, that's better. Okay, what do we got for the T? Ooh, compound curve stem. Oh, so now this is interesting. This is neat. A lot of people, because it's compound curve stem into the loop. Same with this S, compound curve like the stem into the loop. But you have to notice the S, because of how this compound curve, or because it's coming from a loop that's on the slant angle, this curve is much more abrupt, and your straight line, let me get a pencil real quick. Your downstroke, oh, we're running out of lead. Dead lead. Another one. Click, 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 click. Okay. So the angle of that straight portion of the downstroke is much more vertical than your slant angle of your writing. Whereas if we compare that to this exact same stroke, on this side, the straight portion is the slant angle of your writing. Because that's the part that has to sit on the slant, where this one, the oval, has to sit on the slant. So you make the compound curve more abrupt and more vertical. That's something that you have to keep in mind when you're going back and forth between letters like T, P, anyone that starts with a compound curve stem stroke. You have to make sure you're not letting your sort of muscle memory do the same thing as you do for the S, because they are different. Or the L. L and S are the only ones that use that angle of a compound curve stem stroke. Professor Diego, question for you. Do you have a favorite artist of all time? In medium of your choice. You don't? Can I make you pick one right now? Okay, let's see. Compound curve stem, loop, loop, loop. Oh, it's loopy. No. Oh, come on. Okay, well, give us a list of favorites. You must have a list. Are you a Picasso guy? Are you a Bev Doolittle person? What's your flavor? Are you a Da Vinci? Are you a Michelangelo? Michelangelo, sorry. What's your flavor? This should be relatively easy, I think. Oh, it's weird. I have to go super high on this one and not make this nearly as tall. Oh no, this comes down. I thought this had to be on that side. So this comes up, loops there. Okay. I have to make these more horizontal. And this trajectory has to be down before the loop. Oh no. What? This trajectory has to go into horizontal oval. So it can go underneath that without looking strange. I can agree with that 100%. There's a book on Leonardo da Vinci's work that I really want to purchase. I'm waiting for it to be reprinted in English, unless I can find it used somewhere. But it was printed by Taschen, and it's his complete works. Not actually everything. It's not, I mean, the term complete, but it's all his paintings and sketches. And the book is like huge, big, massive book, and I really want it. I've had my eyes on it for a while. There was a smaller one, a smaller version of it, for sale here on the Facebook Marketplace a while ago. But I've had my eye on it for a while, and when I was in Germany, my buddy there has it. I'm jealous. Okay, it's this coming into this that's weird. I have to come out of this in such a way that this can go down there. And then add a slight accent shade right here if I can remember to. Okay. He'd definitely be up there. When it comes to the dead or alive dinner question, it's hard for me to get away from Chaplin. But I have to think about who I would actually want to ask questions to and communicate with more. As far as his work, I'm more of a fan of Chaplin, but I'm a fan of Chaplin's character. I don't know if I'm a fan of Chaplin. Not sure. I could see if Michelangelo, if you could, it's like working in pen versus pencil, I guess. Somebody can do a masterpiece in pen. That's more bragging rights than being able to do it in pencil, I suppose. Okay, let's do that again with bigger shades. I think that level of perfectionism It's dangerous. There we go. That's closer to what we want. I gotta shorten the stem before the shade. Ugh. Stop right there. I guess we call that toxic perfectionism, perhaps. Nope. I am not familiar with Dr. William Beaumont's work, let's be honest. About butts. Was he a proctologist? Ah, got you. The idea. Let's try one with bigger shades then. Not supposed to be a shade there. Just an accent shade, which happens naturally with that movement, I think, most of the time. Try that one more time without quite as much gusto. I let the loopiness take over. Oh, and I forgot to shade there, but put it here by accident. Wow. Butt jokes. That's better. But I think that one is the best one of the bunch. Let's check out capital U, which is going to be a bit of a doozy, I think. Yeah, because it starts with that compound curve into that horizontal oval that I don't have the hang of making this oval look right. Unfortunately, compound curve, large shaded oval, same as the N and the M so far, and the F. From here, and instead of going into, like we did for the M and the M, U shade the downstroke. That's interesting. We finish it like a capital C. Big shade over there. Okay. Yeah, that compound curve into shade is going to be the challenge, or challenge. This song feels like it should be the song from like a Donkey Kong video game or something. Okay, I gotta get the hang of this compound curve stroke here. The idea if I go slow. Ooh, why him? because of his ink? That's what I figured. Not terrible. Not as smooth as I would like it to be. Gotta keep that shade on the U. Much shorter. Like that. This bit now. Who knows? There's probably some ink historian out there who would know the answer to that. Maybe, maybe not. That's a better flow. A couple of those for good measure. A couple more of them. Hello, Shaq. Welcome, welcome. There's gotta be ink historians out there. I would assume. It's not the U, that's an N. I was thinking about ink historians. Because maybe that's not their profession anymore. Maybe they're just, maybe ink historians are just consultants. I'm a consulting ink historian. Like Sherlock Holmes. He's not a private investigator. He's a consulting private investigator. Why do I keep wanting to make the N shape? We're making a U. I'm distracted thinking about other things. That's better. One more of those and I think we can move on. Yeah. Shape was a little wonky on that one. But we got this good one here. So we will move on to the V. Which is very similar, except for the ending. Compound curve, that shade. Same shade. His is weird. He has the shade up on the top, primarily on the left. Which is a little interesting. Down, up and around, and now going from this angled exit stroke, shading, and then matching parallel to our horizontal oval to go around the whole thing. That's going to be a bit of a struggle, I think. I imagine, anyways. Bit of a struggle bus. We will see. This part of the song is like a lullaby. Something like so? Yeah. Yeah, we have to. Check this one a little bit more out that way to lengthen out that angled oval a bit. Too slow. Losing fluidity. Faster, faster, faster. And touch the baseline. What's going on here? Yeah. I mean, as far as adding the shade, it's no different than like when we do that shade on a standard. Do you mean that V shade or that exit V shade? That one exiting stresses me out a little bit. Just because it has to continue into that long horizontal oval. It feels quite challenging. It's just gouache and water, Peter. No magic, just gouache and water. Gouache water. Yeah, I don't think this has any... I have mixed like gum Arabic or whatnot in the past, but nope. This is just gouache and water. Same when I write with, if I use a little bit of Hogwarts action. If I use something like bleed proof white, it's the same thing. Bleed proof white and water. I don't put anything else into it. And I don't think it's the natural paper Maryland. Because it's... this paper is toothy. Like, it's not as smooth as, like, my white is smoother on black paper. When I write with that, it's the ink. It's smooth flowing ink. Regardless of what paper I'm using, the mix is nice. And it's constantly being stirred. So it's always the same, which helps, I think. Oh, I messed up here. It's like when I start the letter, I'm just going with what it feels like. I'm not getting even close to the baseline. Seloinkus? What's that? Oh, what would be a spell? So, I didn't read the question. I was just very confused. Seloinkus. I don't know. A spell for creating good ink. When we think of like the name, like Levi Corpus pops into my head as a spell that is the derivative of the two words Levi, lift, corpus, body, corpse. Levi Corpus. So we have something for create or mix. We need a good word for create or mix, and then a good word for ink. But I don't think it could be ink. I think it has to be something like, what's another word for ink? It's gotta be like some... Where's our... Professor Diego? What is an art historian word for the term ink. Ink. Okay, but we need something fun. Like writing fluid, but that's not really great. Pigmentosa, that's not bad. I would think that for coloring ink. I think that would be a good, if we were coloring a liquid. I mean, pigmentosa is pretty good. The weirdest thing to me, so the angle of his downstroke. One thing that's just messing with my head. This oval doesn't, like this V doesn't look crazy super angled, but this oval transitions. This oval still feels like it's somewhat on, it's not on the slant line, it's a little bit more, but it's subtle enough that the V doesn't close, it goes high enough, and then it immediately goes to the right. Getting that so the V looks like a V, and this oval transitions to a horizontal oval, keeping those two things intact is tough. Like the issue I guess I had with this one. I need to get my downstroke of my V a little bit more angled, I think, but coming up here, I guess if I had this and got way up here and then immediately went down here, that would be better. So the upstroke has to stay closer at that point. Ooh, challenge. Ooh, writing elixir. See, that's a good word for it. See, Diego, that's what we were looking for. Atrinentum is the word for ink in Latin? Atrinentum. I like atrinentum. That sounds like a spell all on its own. Retinitis pigmentosa. It's an eye disease. Oh. Atramentum. I like that less than atrinentum. I feel like I want to start referring to ink as writing elixir. Ooh, what writing elixir are you using today? Ooh, is that the new Ferris wheel press writing elixir? But you can't really do that, I guess, because elixir has a specific thing. Because I think Mont Blanc has inks that are actually referred to as elixirs. I think. Sounds good, Diego. Diego is not into our conversation about vintage ink names. Sweet dreams, Diego. Talk to you soon. Oh, a substance using a liquid with a magical power to cure. To cure your writing? It's an elixir. Paper paint. I like that, Skeet. I mean, it's not technically wrong, I guess. Oh, I forgot to shade. Math spelling is overrated anyways. I've proven that many times on this stream. Oh, elixir. See, you guys, because you're pulling out Latin and stuff, you're making me think that elixir is a word. Elixir. I do like the word elixir a lot. Forgot to shade. Come on. Don't forget this, the last shade. I blurred my vision for that one. I wasn't right. I wasn't watching at all. I was just... my eyes were completely out of focus. Sometimes that helps, I guess. Drinking elixir. Yeah, that's like a potion. Like a health potion. Oh, I forgot to shade. We were doing good there. Okay, another issue I'm having is this is going way too far to the right, which is not helping this be easy. Okay. We can fix that. Or should be able to. Writing aqueous solution. That's good too. Ink manufacturers are going to watch this stream and get all the new ideas. Okay, that's the idea. Close, close. Crystal elixir water. I mean, crystal water is a big thing that people use. Oh, except for that up there. Going too far. That's the right bit down here. Oh, it was one I can't think too much when I make this letter. I just gotta kind of wing it. Don't choke on your coffee, Marilyn. That's not good for your health. Good. And funnily, and this always cracks me up when this happened, I had a nib snap right here. Literally like 1 millimeter before that hairline. So that hairline goes right between the break in this upstroke. That happens so often in writing, it cracks me up. I mean, it doesn't happen a lot more than it happens, but I love that when there's an accidental snap and a flourish just sort of accidentally goes through it. It happens more often than you would think. Just by happenstance. A lot of times it can look intentional when you see it. Oh, I'm out of tea. Sad day. I never finish my tea. Wow. Water instead. Okay, let's move on to W. W. The W looks loopy. Okay, we start the same way as the V. Shade there. Extra loop though, which we haven't done that yet, have we? With this entry stroke? Nope, we haven't. So we come here. Extra loop, similar to the one that's in the T and the S. Come around, do the stem. Somewhat upright. Quite high stem though, not a super flat one. And we have, I always want to get better at this W. So instead of having this be like compound curve, like most people would do, it's just a curve all the way down. Slight accent shade in the middle. Guessing he lifted there, but don't have to if we don't want to. And then we exit to match the exit we did on the V, which is from the W. Oh, I believe it's ad time. I think there is an ad playing right Ooh, yawn. Uh-oh. Is that because you have YouTube Premium, Marilyn? No, I think I think the ad started before I said ad time. I saw the countdown, and then while I was talking, the countdown went away. So I was late when I said ad time. Got you, Marilyn. Got you. Okay, let's get this first stroke first. That's the important bit. Pretend that works better. Is that the right? Yep, that's the idea. Except we need this to be a little more on that angle so that it matches. Trying to confuse you. I'll start saying ad time just any old time. Just so you're waiting for it and never happens. And then I won't say anything when there's actual ads. Just to keep you on your toes, you know. Ooh, to keep this and this about the same height. That goes all the way around. But this has to be farther to the right, so that when this goes up, by the time it comes down, it'll be about that far. Yeah, okay. Got you, man. Hold up. Pause. I'll be right back. A pipe just fell over. Oh no. I'm back. The pipe falling over is not a really big deal. It fell onto one of my pothos vines, so it probably caused some plant damage potentially. Whoops. Oh well. Those vines need to get cut anyways, because they're about 15 feet long. They are too long. Okay. Get this W nailed down. Hello, Lurker James. Hi and bye. If you're still here in a second, I'm curious how long you're in the Philippines for. Forgot what I was doing there for a sec. That's the idea. Except now do it again without forgetting what you're doing halfway through. Good idea. One more week. Ooh, fun. Enjoy. Oh yeah, I guess you'll be there for Christmas. That makes sense. Enjoy your last week. That's pretty close. That initial compound curve and oval is the part that messes me up the most. Have a good one, James. We'll see you soon. Or talk to you soon, I guess. Too far to the left. That's better. Not too bad. A little more angle is required on this little oval for some reason. Nope. Quickness. Don't think, just do. Not too bad. One more. Not quite as good as the other two, but not too shabby. Let's go to the X, which kind of looks like an H. Not a huge fan of this X, but because they're two shades, they can't really touch it. They're gonna bleed together completely. Compound curve, shade into a stem, little loop to a high shaded C stroke with a weird off angle. Horizontal, top right, top left, sorry, shade up there crossing through. Not gonna lie, not a huge fan. But it's not ugly. It's just not my favorite X in the world. We'll see if we can execute it decently. Forgot to shade up here. Not bad though. Not bad though. Could have been much worse. Why don't you hit the baseline, Mike? Hit the baseline. Ugh, so much ink. Whoopsies. They gotta get just close enough that they don't touch. Or you make each stroke and then wait 15 or 20 minutes till the ink dries and then do the next stroke. Which I'm not gonna do. You could do that, I guess. You're very patient. It's gonna happen almost all of the time for me, I'm pretty certain. And his X shade, his first stem shade it's a high one too. It's not even like, because you could do something like this technically. If I was gonna do this, I would want to do something like this. I'm gonna try, see if I can do it. Do that, so that shade is below the halfway point, and then this shade is above the halfway point. So you never have two, I mean, they're still really close to each other, but you never have two shades like right side by side. You could even do the more extreme of that. Keep that shade really low on the first one and really high on the second one. That's not what he did. So that's not what we're going for today. Today we're trying to miss the X. Get those two lines just almost touching, but not quite touching. What line do I write on this line? This might be too close to the one above it. Something like that. Yeah, that's hard because you want them to be close enough, otherwise it legitimately looks like an H. So I would want to either touch them or have them just not touching. Touching them is obviously bad because the ink is going to pool, but I'd rather have them touch and pool than be really far apart and look like an H. That's still good. Which is always sort of an issue with doing the X in general, I guess. I suppose. That's the challenge. Way too small. Why did I write that so small? Or, I guess we could do a really slow dip. Then if they do touch, they'll just have less ink to share, I suppose. So long as I have enough ink to finish the stroke. Then if they touch, they don't bleed that much. They just bleed a little bit, but still. We don't want them to touch at all. But I do think we can't go a super slow dip. We gotta go like a mid dip. Mid dip. Somewhere right in the middle. If you guys didn't know that, the slower you dip, the less ink you're gonna have on your nib. The slower you pull out of the ink. Cannot. Not gonna do many more of these because I'm not a fan. Oh, have a good one, Cyril. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a wonderful Christmas and holiday season, and we'll see you in 2024. Okay, we'll try one more. As close as it gets for me. All right. Those weren't too shabby. Loopy Y. Same compound curve entry. Woofty. Into the shade, the same shade that's on the V and the U. To come down, not shading this like we did on the U. Compound curve, like a long S. Coming around, I like that. To exit the same way we exited the W. Cool. Hello, Jan. Good evening. Or good morning. I can't remember what time zone you're in, Jan. Remind me. Or what time it is for you when we do these streams. Today I'm using a Hunt 101. I would call it a brand new one, but it's not brand new. It was brand new last Tuesday. And I didn't write a lot this week, so it is pretty much still brand new. Ooh, Manila, 3 p.m. All right, well, good afternoon to you. Never done a Y with the compound curve into the descender before. I like that. Wait, and he doesn't... Oh yeah, he doesn't shade the descender. That feels weird to not do. And that comes around. Okay. That's the idea. Can do. Couldn't not shade down there. It happened by accident. But if I shade here like I'm supposed to, that's a danger zone. Gotta make my descender a little bit shorter too. Just a little bit shorter. Okay. All too round, but that's the idea. Coming out of, gotta be prepared for this, with that stroke, with that transition, smooth that out a little bit. If I can do that, then we're laughing, I think. And I need a little bit more ink as well. Wrong shade. It's closer. little bit quicker on that last stroke. I mean, nothing exciting happened. We finished the X, we analyzed the Y, and now we're attempting the Y. This is much longer than mine, or wider. I'm gonna take up more horizontal space. Kind of like that, I guess. Get one more on this line. That one's the best one so far. Because it's wide enough. Oh, hello, Mum. You're up late? Good evening to you. Alright, Marilyn, thanks for hanging out. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. We will see you in 2024. Parallel lines are not happening. The idea, it's not on the baseline. We got an ad coming in 45 seconds. Yeah, I'll give you guys correct warning this time. You have to go to the bathroom or get ready to skip or whatever you want to do during the ad. Good night, Marilyn. That's the idea. Let me get another one or two like that. Two to make it true. Yeah. Not very parallel on that last oval. Yeah, we finished on a relatively good note with that one. This needs to go up higher, but that's okay. He really likes this compound curve entry for the last the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters of the alphabet use it. Oh, no ad for Peter. Alright, for the Z, or the Z for my American friends. Targeted ads, I guess. That's what Google does. Okay, compound curve entry, same one we've been doing for a while. Keep that loop, horizontal little oval, or slightly angled little oval, but almost horizontal. Shades the descender this time, unlike the Y. To come up, shade, and we finish the same way we finished the Y, the W, and the V. That one that goes up and over everything. Should be relatively simple. Well, that's interesting. Did some of you get ads and some of you didn't? Jen, I can most definitely do that. Do you mind waiting until we finish the capital Z? We finish this whole run and then I'll dive into the square top T? I mean, if I had a... I don't know, I think even if you have sponsors for videos on YouTube, I don't think you can choose who the ads are for. I'm not sure though. Yeah. That's not how you're supposed to... Right? Thanks a lot, Mom. I did, I should have been able to get it done in 2 coats of paint, but I did 2 coats, and I realized that I wanted it to be a little bit smoother, so I did a 3rd coat, and I tried some back rolling, and I think I took too long, and I did a poor job, basically. So I woke up this morning, and early this morning, did a final last edging and rolling of the entire thing, and it's not perfect, it's not a perfect paint job, but I'm happy with it. It's an apartment, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I gotta paint over it if I ever move anyways. But I'm quite happy with it. I forgot. Was that what I was supposed to do? Yeah, except this has to be way farther to the left. Something like that. See now with him, this oval and this oval are right underneath each other. They're basically the same size. Same with the way he does the Y. We managed to do that on the Y, but for some reason that doesn't feel normal on the Z. We gotta get the hang of that. That's better. That's better. Not the quickest, flowiest letter in the world. Try to do it a little bit quicker. Ah. Forgot to shade the bottom. In my head, I had the thought of I wanted to make my ascenders shorter so that this didn't cross through it twice like it did here, which isn't a super big deal, but his doesn't cross twice. So while thinking about making this shorter, I finished, I went, yeah! And I forgot to add a shade there. It all happens too fast. I can't think fast enough. Forgot to shade that again. What's happening? Okay, shorter descender, do the last shade. Easy. This needs to come up here farther. It's gonna go there so then it has the right trajectory to change into a horizontal roll. Tweak, 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 here and there, till we get it right. Or close enough to right, anyways. Something like that. Still not very smooth, though. When will the next stream be? That's a very good question, Peter. Because I'm driving home for Christmas this year, I don't know exactly when I'm coming back yet. I'm hoping to be back in Vancouver somewhere around January 3rd or 4th, I think. But then I leave on the 10th. So you guys can tell me, if you look at a calendar, from the 4th until the 10th, does a Tuesday fall in the middle there or no? January might be a little sparse, stream-wise, because I'm traveling a bit. No, okay, I'm forgetting that this has to be the same size as that one. The 2nd is a Tuesday. Okay, well, I will not be back for the 2nd. What's the next one after the 2nd? Then the 9th. So potentially, we could potentially get one going on the 9th before I leave. I think my flight is very early in the morning on the 10th. But we might be able to get something going if I'm proactive and all packed and everything. I will aim for that. That's the one. Finally. Oh, ran out of ink. Bummer. The 16th? Nope. I'm not back from Philadelphia and New York until the 17th. So we will miss that week. But then I'm back for a week. And then I leave for Kelowna. Oh, I can't remember what day I leave again after like a week. It's a lot of gone in January. That's not the letter we're supposed to be making. 23rd? Let's see. I gotta look at my calendar to see if I'm back from that trip yet on the 23rd. January. Haha, no. Yeah, so I get back on the 17th, but then I leave on the 22nd out of town again. So we will have, in January, we will do the 9th and the 30th are the only two that I'm here for. Sorry. Uh-oh. What are you gonna do, Otis? Worst news ever. My apologies. Okay, we gotta smooth that out. Plan a holiday. I don't really take holidays. My life is a holiday. Philadelphia is kind of a holiday, actually. If I was on holiday, I probably wouldn't be streaming. So I don't think you want me to take a holiday. Okay, I'm lacking the fluidity that I want. That's better. A little bit smaller, a little bit quicker and smoother. Let's go ahead. Do one more. Not bad. That one up there and this one here are probably the best of the bunch, I would assume. These two aren't exactly on top of each other, so this one's probably the most accurate. But there we go. There is our capital run from A to Z of F.B.Courtney. Some fun little challenge there. Now, Jan asked for the flat top T. I like teaching flat top T's. So first I will write, give Alright, if we imagine that that is the shade, like when we're doing the T, that's the shade we're creating. That shade right there. So how do we create that shade? We'll do it, yeah, we'll do a square one at the bottom as well. The bottom I feel like is a lot easier. The important part for this one is this horizontal line and about that much of the angle. So about like this. That's the shape that you're creating. If you drop your nib on the upper right side and then I pull over, I'm gonna get hardly any ink in my pen. I'll try to do a big one. If I put my nib on the upper right and I pull to the left while applying pressure, as I'm pulling to the left and applying pressure, my right tine is going to naturally go down at approximately this angle. So if I'm here, I just press. Oh, I ran out of ink. Give me a sec. Pulling to the left and pressing. So then I get, so I have my angle. It doesn't really show very good that small, but I get, that's the shape that I get. Horizontal line with a little bit of an angled line right there. And then when your nib is then in this position and this position, if I pull down my slant line, if I just then pull down like a push-pull drill, if I pull, my tines will naturally come in. Like so. So you apply the weight and you pull down. You apply the weight and you pull down. Apply and pull down. Ran out of ink. Like so. So that's for the T. It's really about that shape for me anyways. Some people will use a technique where they write a 7. So let's say you take this shape, that same shape, but instead of dropping your nib here, you go across and then apply your weight and pull back across this line. And that gives your ink sort of a line to follow. So if you do that one, can't do it that big, obviously. I go over, and then when I apply my weight, that ink will follow that line. Oops. I used to do that a lot, and then I found that if I just drop my nib on the right, I can get the same result without that one extra stroke, which means that little bit of paper isn't wet and I pull less fibers. But many people really like doing that first stroke to the right and then pulling, then applying weight as they go back to the left. So up to you. Personally, I do not. I just drop in the top right and pull down. So then when we're doing a shade on the bottom, like a lowercase p or something like that. It's the same idea. We have a line down here. Well, sort of the same idea, I guess. It's really just how you release pressure. So if we have a shade like so, as you come down and apply weight, you're there. Now notice, if I just lift, because that's the angle of my nib, that's where that cutoff is. Just like on the T, whoops, just like as I did the T, this line would be the angle of my nib, would be right there. With the P, that angle is right there. So that gives me, then I have this line here and this line here. It's again basically the opposite of what we did in the T. So I release going over to the left. I release this way. And as I release pressure and I pull to the left, this tine, my left tine, will naturally go down this line and pull to the point. Now, if I had a my microscope isn't plugged in. If I could zoom you in more, then I could show this like really close up so you could see. But that's basically what you're doing. You create the shade, and then I pull to the left. And as I release pressure, if I release the pressure in that amount of distance, my left tine will naturally pull up in that angle and to that point. Now it takes some getting used to. You might have some that end up being a little, you could get like a little bit of where it's gonna go like that's a quite common thing. I don't know if you can see that. That is doing something like this. And all that means is if you get something like that, with that type of a shape on the left-hand side, that just means that as you were releasing pressure, this is your line here, you released too slow. So you didn't end up, your tine didn't come down this line. You released the pressure too slow. So by the time you got to where you wanted to finish, you still had pressure in your left tine. So it had to keep going until your left tine came up, if that makes sense. So I'll do that one more time. We want, if we release quick enough, our tines meet at that point right there on the lower left. If I release too slow my pressure, then I get that type of a shape, where I'm flat on the left or on the right hand side, but on the left hand side it goes out too far to the left. Yeah, there's your crash course in depth for those two, and it just takes practice, but they're both definitely doable. It's not intentionally a capital stem, but essentially that's what's happening with the capital stem. With the capital stem, though, we're not trying to create that shape. We're not trying to, create a flat shape. With the capital stem, depending on sort of the style that you're going for, this curved stroke on the left, that's the important part of the capital stem. So if we take this same idea, where if we focus on one of the tines and then the other tine just kind of naturally does it, if we take that same concept, if I'm coming down into my capital stem and I'm focused on this curve to the left like the stem has, I'm gonna start applying pressure right here, and I wanna release pressure right here. Or I wanna That's where I'm completely lifted. So I'm applying pressure till I get to the middle point. So let's say the middle point's right there. This is the halfway point of this nice curve. So if I'm applying pressure, I'm gonna get the same idea we had up with the T, where when you applied the pressure, you got this, the right tine naturally came down this slant. Same thing. If I'm applying pressure, my right tine is gonna naturally go down this curve. So I'm gonna get to there. Then as I release pressure, and this is where the two differ a lot, I'm releasing pressure, but my left tine is going curve. It's not just going here and then releasing straight horizontal. I'm curving. So as I curve and I release pressure, you naturally get this curved bottom, and then at one point it's going to hit the baseline, and then it's just going almost all the way to the left, and you get this asymmetrical shape. So that, if I can write one. So if we're here, I'm pulling down, I start to apply pressure, I'm curving, I release that pressure, and then it's just ending going off to the left. Now when you go that slow, there's a high potential of getting fibers and stuff. That's why some people will do the pen point or pen manipulation, where they'll rotate the pen in the fingers. But if you're using a nib like a Hunt 101 or a Leonard Principle, they are flexible enough that you can come down, create that shape, even not going wicked fast. Like, I'm not using movement writing right now. I'm just essentially drawing these shapes. But my main focus is this curve. And then I'm just applying pressure and then releasing pressure. But I'm focusing on this curve and letting the pressure take care of the shape. Oh, add. Oh wait, I don't know how long the ad is. Before I continue talking, I probably should have delayed that ad. So that's one of those things where, like, you don't need movement writing. You don't need to be super wicked fast to get that shape without any, like, crazy rotation. You can do the rotation. I used to, and it can be very helpful. If I was using something like a Nico G or a stiffer nib, I would rotate my pen a little bit, but you don't have to. And if you're using movement writing to get that shade, you don't have to, even less. But the main thing is you're focusing on this curve, and then you're just applying pressure and releasing pressure, which often happens in like a movement when you're going slow, or when you're going fast, sorry. So same concept, where as you apply pressure, this right tine is just sort of taking care of itself going down our slant line. It's curved here because it's curved here. And you're not going pressure release. It's not two settings. It's going tapering into the pressure and lowering into the pressure. Because we're following this shape. If we were following this shape, and I use the same concept, I'm gonna get a indirect oval shade, or what we would use for like the bottom of a B, or where do we use this shade? Like a Z would use this shade, or a Z. Same opposite wise, same idea. If that was the curve that I was focused on, but I taper that shade, then you get that shade that we use for the O, the A, and many letters. But so it's the same idea. I'm adding pressure and releasing pressure, but just because of the unique shape of this curve, that is what gives us... That is what gives us the asymmetrical stem. And some people like the asymmetrical stem, some people don't like the asymmetrical stem. I know in like PZ Blozer's Lessons for Ornamental Penmanship, for example, their stem doesn't travel very far to the left. Which the only reason, or not reason, the only difference there would be if you wanted to make it look like that as you're coming down, you just release a little faster. Or you can release even faster. Or faster. And eventually, because you're not curving that left tine, eventually you get the same shade we did for the lowercase p. So it's dependent on that curve. I don't think the pen gods laugh at you, but the stem stroke is a funky one. It just takes some getting used to. I think the big part about the stem is really I mean, that's probably the most thorough I've ever gone through and broken that down. Because I do it in all my classes and whatnot, but I'm usually fighting for time. So that's pretty thorough. It wouldn't be a bad idea to do an entire YouTube video on just that people can reference. But if you can wrap your head around sort of that idea and that curve, then it's just rinse and repeat getting used to. It's just then getting used to the taper. Getting used to applying your pressure and releasing your pressure. Applying your pressure, releasing your pressure. While not losing that curve. Similar to a baseball player or somebody who needs a follow-through in their throw. They can't just... They have to have the follow-through. This curve is the follow-through. Well, technically, moving after that would be the follow-through, but you understand what I'm saying. It's the flow of that stroke is the curve. That's the important part. And then the technical part is the pressure and the release of pressure. That takes some getting used to. Especially when we're using quicker movement writing or something like that. That's good. I hope it helps. Let me know how it goes, or if it's not working out and you have other questions, feel free to ask them, or to ask me them. I like questions. But I think we're gonna end the stream there. We made it through our capitals, N through Z today by F.B.Courtney. We did a nice little analysis of the flat top T, flat bottom P, flat bottom P. That should be a t-shirt as well. Flat top T, flat bottom P. Oh! This should be a t-shirt. Just this design. This with the T. That should be on a t-shirt. Like a blueprint of the... Oh! I like that idea. I'm gonna add that to my list. And actually get my little journal out right now so I don't forget it. I'm gonna add it to the list. You did. You closed out the stream. Yep. I am tired. It's been long days of painting and whatnot. And I have a very big day tomorrow. So I apologize that we're not going into the black light this year. Or today, right now. I think what I might do when we get to 2024, since I'm only doing the 2 streams in January, maybe we'll make, and I'll do a vote or something on Instagram. Maybe we'll make the first one like January 9th. Maybe that's just an all black light party, like we did on Halloween. We did that, right? But anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, everybody. This was a fun one. I really enjoyed this challenge. These are variations of capitals that I have most of them never tried before, and they're interesting shade placements, so it's fun to experiment and play with. And the coolest thing for me about that is the more I get used to those movements that are unfamiliar with me, I can add those to my flourishing and the way I design and the way I do things. So it makes things more exciting and cooler for the future. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. I will see you guys in January. In the meantime, make sure that you are falling in love with this process. And don't forget that life should be just a bit of silliness, really. Bye-bye, everybody. Where's the button?